Typhoon Kajiki formed over the Philippines on August 23, 2025, then rapidly intensified while crossing the South China Sea. Meteorological agencies classified it as a Category 2 equivalent typhoon, with peak sustained winds of up to 166 kilometers per hour, approximately 103 miles per hour, and minimum central pressure near 965 hectopascals. It approached Vietnam's north-central coastline and made landfall between Nghe An and Ha Tinh provinces around mid-afternoon of August 25, 2025, with winds of 118 to 133 kilometers per hour, 73 to 83 miles per hour, and powerful gusts reaching level 13. Beaufort. After landfall, Kajiki stalled near the coast for over 10 hours, prolonging exposure to strong winds, storm surge, and torrential rain across the region. The storm gradually weakened as it tracked inland and degenerated into a tropical depression over Laos early August 26, still bringing heavy rainfall deep into northern Vietnam. At landfall in Nghe An and Ha Tinh, sustained winds of 118 to 133 kilometers per hour violently uprooted trees, tore metal roofing from houses and buildings, demolished beachside tourism facilities, and toppled hundreds of high-voltage transmission structures. In particular, Ha Tinh saw over 6,300 houses unroofed or seriously damaged, while thousands more were affected in adjacent provinces. At landfall in Nghe An and Ha Tinh, sustained winds of 118 to 133 kilometers per hour violently uprooted trees, tore metal roofing from houses and buildings, demolished beachside tourism facilities, and toppled hundreds of high-voltage transmission structures. In particular, Ha Tinh saw over 6,300 houses unroofed or seriously damaged, while thousands more were affected in adjacent provinces. Relentless rainfall accompanied the storm. Coastal and lowland zones received 200 to 400 millimeters in under 24 hours. Ha Tinh recorded up to 373 millimeters, and Quang Tri around 350 millimeters. In mountainous zones, localized totals exceeded 500 millimeters, triggering serious inland flash flooding and repeated landslides. Authorities warned of continued 150 millimeters per 6 hours rain in uplands and deltas. sustaining high risk of additional slope failures, riverbank collapses, and mudslides in provinces from Thanh Hoa through Nghe An to Ha Tinh, including Phu Tho, Lao Cai, Son La, Quang Tri, and parts of the Red River Delta. Below is an approximate ranking of affected provinces by severity of infrastructure and material loss. One, Ha Tinh Province, epicenter. Most severe, over 6,300 homes unroofed, approximately 21,000 hectares of rice fields destroyed, thousands of trees downed, major storm surge and prolonged blackout to hundreds of thousands of customers. 2. Nghe An Province, heavy wind damage to roofs and trees, flooding to roads, evacuation of thousands, power outages to approximately 870,000 people. Three, Thanh Hoa Province, significant rainfall, flooding of approximately 1,900 homes, landslides on rural roads, coastal road inundation, interruption to transport and agriculture. 4. Quang Tri Province, landslides cutting rural access, isolated communes, agricultural losses, storm tide impact on offshore fish farming cages. 6. Phu Tho, Thay Nguyen, Ninh Binh, Lao Cai, Son La, upland and northern regions. Flooding, landslides, power cuts, road washouts, impact to homes and schools. Heavy rainfall continuing post-landfall 7, Hanoi and Red River Delta, though further inland, torrential rain submerged streets, paralyzed traffic, isolated villages in Bac Ninh, and triggered localized flash floods across the capital region. Over 6,800 houses were damaged or unroofed. In total, 28,800 hectares of rice fields flooded, along with approximately 2,200 hectares of other crops, and nearly 18,000 trees felled, damaging orchards and shade trees along roads and public spaces. Roughly 331 power poles downed. More than 1.6 million customers lost electricity across major provinces. 870,000 in Nghe An, 395,000 in Thanh Hoa, 350,000 in Ha Tinh. Flight cancellations at airports in Thanh Hoa, Quang Tri. National Highway 1 closures, train suspensions, marine traffic banned, roads washed out by landslides. Tourist facilities destroyed, Roads flooded, seawalls strained, fish farms damaged offshore, schools closed or inaccessible, communication disrupted, emergency shelters activated, evacuation of nearly 600,000 people across multiple provinces. Preliminary assessments indicate damage in Nghe An alone exceeded 846 billion Vietnamese dong, approximately 32 million US dollars. Nationally, losses across agriculture, infrastructure, utilities and housing are counted in the tens of millions USD, with initial overall figure exceeding $21 million as per Ministry of Agriculture figures earlier in 2025. This event demonstrates how natural disasters, intensified by rapid storm development and stalled landfall, can wreak havoc on built and natural environments, even when not at record-breaking human toll. Winds of 120 kilometers per hour plus, storm surges of 3 to 4 meters, and deluge-level rains can demolish roofs, uproot thousands of trees, black out entire regions, and inundate tens of thousands of hectares of farmland. Communities, local authorities, and armed forces mobilized swiftly. Approximately 600,000 residents evacuated, hundreds of thousands of troops and officers deployed, shelters established, food and essential services pre-positioned. These coordinated actions mitigated what could have been far worse damage to lives and property. Let this serve as a strong educational reminder. Natural forces can escalate in hours and devastate broad regions, from coast to upland. Investment in early warning systems, community planning, and strong infrastructure is vital. And citizens working together, following evacuation orders, reinforcing homes, and supporting relief efforts make a real difference. Typhoon Kajiki's 2025 passage through Vietnam caused widespread material damage. Thousands of homes unroofed, millions affected by power outages, tens of thousands of hectares of rice lost, roads and utilities disrupted. The worst affected provinces, Ha Tinh, Nghe An, Thanh Hoa, and Quang Tri, should be prioritized in recovery efforts, with upland provinces and Hanoi region also requiring flood resilience measures. This calamity highlights the ongoing risk posed by intensified tropical storms and underscores the collective resilience of Vietnamese communities and responders. As global climate change continues to amplify storm behavior, education, preparedness, engineering, and solidarity remain humanity's strongest defenses.